What you see here is a Fasco heat cycler. It was Fasco's industrial model of the early, mid-80s. It was their answer to Emerson's heat fan. It dates to September of 1981. On the way back from Pittsburgh, I happened to stop at one of the habitats. This was in it. Needless to say, I got rather excited rather quickly. See, the heat cycler to me is a childhood fan, something I remember seeing from when I was a kid on the boardwalk at Ocean City, Maryland. It was the only one I'd ever seen in person until years later, and it was in this exact same finish. Therefore, very happy to have it. The motor housing is very thick, and the motor is very large. Also, really. You see it says heat cycler on the tag, model C52. Another little interesting feature here are the fins. This early version of the heat cycler probably had issues with keeping the large motor cool. The motor, by the way, draws 1.5 amps. So, they added the fins that would draw air through the vents. Okay. Now, we're going to see what this beast does. Starting on low. For testing purposes, I am using a Hunter 3-speed wall control rated for 2 amps with capacitor values of 5 and 10. As you can see, the low speed is rather aesthetic. Anyway, let's go up to medium speed. The heat cycler is one of the rarer Fasco models. They're not often seen. So yeah, it's starting to move air. Anyway, let's go to high now. That's quite the startup hum, actually. As you can probably tell, it hauls ass. And it gives the Emerson heat fan, or as we call them, blender fans, a run for its money. It's probably actually a bit faster than a K63 heat fan, which is insane. Motor housing's vibrating a bit. Probably moves it well over, close to 300 RPMs. Anyway, let's now turn it off and let it coast down. This thing has an incredibly long spin down time. The motor is almost as thick as the motor housing. Not as, but almost. Now, the heat cycler was made in two versions. The early ones used the same bottom plate as the parlor fan, the 38-inch parlor fan, and had the fins attached to the blades to direct air through the vents. Later versions of the heat cycler used the same bottom plate as the first generation 38-inch Charleston, and these ones did not have the fins, possibly due to them changing the motor a bit to run a bit cooler, more efficiently, perhaps. The blades are brown woodgrain plastic. Some might say that makes it suitable for damp locations, although I would not recommend that. For a fan that is 34 years old, the bearings are surprisingly smooth. This heat cycler is the only one I've ever seen even remotely locally. The first one I told you about, the childhood fan, was in Ocean City, Maryland. I've seen a couple of these at some rest stop along I-95, the North Carolina-South Carolina state line. They call it south of the border. And I saw a couple of the white Charleston versions at an amusement park in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. But this is the first one I've ever seen up here. In the northeastern United States, Fascos in general are not common. So, seeing one of these is a rare treat. Owning one is even better. And as some of you may have noticed, the quality of this clip is noticeably improved. I'm no longer using a point and shoot. I'm now using a Nikon D600 for video purposes. So, woo! And there you go.